Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've got a new project to work on and it's a big one this time. I think it might be the largest physical object I have featured on this channel so far. So it's not yet sitting on the bench. As you see, it's sitting on the ground here next to me. And let's get it on the bench, or let's try to get it on the bench, because my bench isn't that big. And yeah, I hope I will not induce a hernia in myself while trying to lift this thing on the bench. Here it is. Oh. Man, that's a big one. Okay, so it fits on my bench. That's already a good sign. And obviously this is a reel-to-reel machine, or a tape recorder, however you want to call it. And it has two speakers included, and they are attached in the front to make it portable. Yeah, super portable. You can lug this around easily to your next picnic. No? Anyway, I think I'm just going to take off the speakers, because we'll look at the speakers at a later time. There is some work to do on the speakers as well. These speakers should come off. I don't know if they can come off while the unit is standing upright. No, I'm going to turn it flat like this. And now I can lift off the speakers. And I shall put these aside. And as I said, we're going to look at these at some later time. So see, here we have the entire unit. It's a Sony TC-630. Some of you might think I'm totally insane after my adventure last year trying to restore the Philips one, which took me months. Now the difference with this being is that the belts in here are not melted. So the issue that I had with the Philips one was that all the belts were melted and I had to, well, spend a huge amount of time on cleaning. So that is not going to be necessary here. I still will have to do a lot of cleaning, but there is no belt goo or residue that will need to be cleaned up. Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger than the Philips one. The Philips one was a small, compact mono tape recorder. This is a full-sized reel-to-reel machine. And actually, I already tested this, so this time I came prepared. I said to myself, first gonna check the amount of work before I start working on a machine again like this on video. So I already tested this and it seems like it's doing the right things, only the play function doesn't work. It's quite an essential function for a reel-to-reel machine. But I do have an idea, I know why it's not working. It's also a matter of cleaning and lubrication and all these things. So I can't really test it electrically or electronically. I do see that everything that needs to be there is there. It's trying to make the correct movements and do the correct things. It's just a bit stuck inside due to old grease being dried up. I want to take this the full Monty. So, well, at least that's the goal at this point. So we're going to completely restore this as new. I am going to clean everything and, well, apply new grease and new oil and all these kinds of things wherever necessary. We're going to go over the electronics. We're going to replace the belts, do a full restoration on this one, not just a repair. If you only repair what's wrong with them, something else will fail or some other issues will pop up after a while. You might notice that here the trim on this button is missing, or the button cap. I do have it, it just fell off earlier. I've also already given it a big clean. So on the outside, I've cleaned everything because it also had a nice coating of nicotine glaze. The only things I see which are not so nice is that here on a couple of places the labels have peeled off. Like here, there is another one. Yeah, here on this button there are also some letters that are gone, and here on the main power switch the letters for off and on are gone. That's about it. There is also one of the screws is here missing, so this thing has thumb screws to be able to take this cover plate off easily. but this thumb screw is missing. It's replaced with a normal screw. And then, as I said, there are some issues with the speakers, but we'll look at that at a later video. Also, the previous owner put some really weird feet under here. I guess the original rubber feet must have been deteriorated, so they put some feet for, I don't know. For me, these things are like what you put underneath a chair or something. They are way too big, and the tape deck now sits at an angle, which it shouldn't be. And some tape decks, they sit at an angle, but this one should not. So let me just put this flat, because I won't be able to work on it when it's standing up straight. So I'm just going to go quickly over the features in a second, but first, according to Hi-Fi Engine, this machine was produced between 1968 and 1974, so that's quite an extended period of time. Radio Museum says 1971, so I don't know which one is more correct, but it has to be situated around, well, 1970, beginning of the 70s. We also have an extremely nice scan of the service manual available. That's going to be extremely helpful. It's a color scan, and see, it's a very high quality scan. So that's going to be really, really helpful when working on this machine. Now, what is interesting about this machine is that you can maybe read it here. It's marketed as a stereo center, TC-630 3-head solid state. So the stereo center is key. What they did here is they incorporated the full amplifier. That's the black. Yeah. Its thing is so big that I cannot put my camera high enough to get it fully in shot. But the black part here on the side, that's a full stereo 2x 15 watt amplifier. So that means that with this thing, you basically have an entire music setup. You don't need that external amplifier. You don't need to have any speakers. You can just buy this and you're good to go. You can also use the amplifier completely independently from the tape deck. See, there is an independent on-off switch and it has inputs. Here there is the input selector, so you have phono, so it has a built-in preamplifier as well, tuner, auxiliary and microphone, and then you don't need to even use the tape deck. You can just hook up your record player to this, power on the amp, and you've got a amplifier to listen to your vinyl. Of course, the tape deck is the main thing and it has a separate power switch. So the nice thing about this is that it is a fully contained audio hi-fi system, basically. These things sold incredibly well. It's very easy to still find them secondhand and they don't go for a lot of money. The thing is that people who are into tape decks these days, they want the high-end models. This was definitely not a high-end model. This was an all-round model. So the nice thing about this is that it does everything that you need. Maybe not the most high-end type of device, but it's extremely versatile. So that's why it sold so well. Since it's not a high-end device, people today who are still into reel-to-reel machines don't really, well, care that much for this range of devices. So they are incredibly cheap. You can very easily find them. Normally, they should also be relatively simple to work on. I'm touching wood now while I'm saying this. So let's have a look here a bit at the features. This is the main control for your tape deck. Everything is still fully mechanical. We're still end of the 60s, beginning of the 70s. So rewind, stop and play. If you want to fast forward, you need to hold down this button while putting the lever to the right, and that's fast forward. This is the speed selector. You have 4.8 centimeters, 9.5 centimeters or 19 centimeters a second. Here you have the pause switch, which is a bit of a weird way of doing things. You need to put the tape deck in play and then you can pull down this lever and then the playback is paused. It's labeled, well, the labeling is gone, but it's labeled fast stop. But it's basically the pause function, and that's how you release that. You have the tape counter. So this is the record switch, left channel and right channel, or both for stereo. You have here two microphone inputs, so you can do stereo karaoke. You have sound over sound recording, so that you can also use to do karaoke, or I think this deck was also used a lot by musicians, so they could, for example, play the bass line and then rewind and then play main guitar or piano, whatever. They could layer different instruments sequentially on top with this sound over sound recording feature. You have an echo feature, which you can also use to play around a bit. This is the input selector switch. We already discussed that. The record levels, two really big and nice VU meters. This is a 3-head deck. So that's interesting because then you can monitor the recording while you are making the recording. So these switches here are to monitor the source or the tape separately for left and right channels. A headphone jack for monitoring. There is a noise suppression feature. This is the main on-off switch. Then we come here to the amplifier, and there you have all the basic amplifier controls like in headphone jack, the power switch, stereo or left or right. This is the speaker selector switch, so you can, next to the speakers that are included, you can also hook up an external pair of speakers. So then you can switch between these two pairs of speakers. So it's like on an amplifier you have A or B. There is no A plus B, it's A or B in this case. This is the volume control, the balance, bass and treble. Here on this side, I'm not going to show you because it's... Ah, wait, I can. Let me just do it like this. Oh yeah, that works. So you have the power socket, you have two switched outlets, which are completely useless here in Europe because we don't use these type of plugs. The voltage selector, frequency selector between 50 Hz or 60 Hz, and the fuse. And then on that side, you have all the inputs and the outputs. Yeah, like you see, phono, tuner, auxiliary. There is a DIN jack for us Europeans. There is a ground connection, probably for the record player. And here you have the outputs, the line out. As you see, external speaker connections via RCA sockets, which is weird. And these are the sockets for the included speakers, so the lid speakers. And these are using these 6.35mm headphone jacks to connect up, which is also weird. I'm not going to power this up just yet. I'm just going to take the cover plate off before I power it up because I know that it's not fully working. I haven't tried the amplifier, but I did measure the output transistor for shorts and there don't seem to be any shorts. So to get this off, you need to take off the knobs. Now, you see this knob? Does it focus? Yeah. I don't know if this comes across, but it's a bit yellowed. And compared to this one, which is not yellowed at all, and that's because it still has the protective piece of plastic on there, see? So this knob, that one, it just fell off before I made the video. This one, they all still have the protective plastic still on there. That's funny. See these ones as well. Yeah, I need to find a thumb screw somewhere because having a normal screw here in this head cover plate or its head cover is really annoying if you need to access the heads at some point. Yeah, there is a bit of mold here on the pinch roller and it's also extremely dirty, but it doesn't feel super hard, so there is a slight chance that this will still be okay. Now we have to remove 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one is over here. Let's start with that one. Okay, I think the cover plate should now come off. There is also a disassembly instructions in the service manual, but I've already taken this off, so I know what to do. This side also needs to be cleaned. Okay, so as you can see, it is all quite dirty, but the belts have not melted. And to be fair, they still feel quite okay. I don't know if we will be able to get away with just keeping the old belts. Honestly, like I said, I want to do the full Monty on this one, so part of me just want to swap the belts, but honestly, see, they feel quite okay. The idler tire here is a bit hard, but might also be still okay. This one feels also slightly hard. That also might still be okay. Here's another belt. That is maybe a bit loose, but that's the counter belt. I think that will probably... See, it still works. So let me find a power cord, because this is a special type of power cord. And then I can power it up and we can see what it's doing and what it's not doing. Okay, looks like I've been talking for half an hour or so without realizing that I forgot to push the record button. So yeah, I can't say I lost footage because the footage was never there. I just have not recorded everything I've done so far. That's nice. So I took the chassis out of the case. That was not that difficult. You just had to remove the handle on top. See, here it is. And then you had to remove 5 screws on the back, and you can just lift out the entire chassis from the case. That's not spectacular. You didn't really miss anything there. Where you did miss something is that I powered it up and I showed you what was working and what was not. So I'm gonna have to do that again. See, so this is the power connector that I'm gonna use. This is a Sony power connector. It's the only one that I found in my stock. I don't know if this is the original power connector for this that came with this deck. Don't know, but it fits. So let's plug it in. And I have it set for 220 volts. And I have it connected to the dim bulb limiter. And this is the stop position. Okay, let's power on the dim bulb limiter. And as you can see here, now the power switch is working, because in my earlier attempts, I showed that the power switch was not going off. I mean, it was always on. See, now the lights on the view meters are slowly coming up. What is happening? I think this switch is flaky. Yeah, see? Very weird. This switch is maybe sticking. In any case, if I enable this switch, see, this is in the play. Is it in the play position? No, it's in the stop position. Rewind, working perfectly. That belt is wobbly, so that needs to be changed. That's the tape counter belt. But this belt is doing its job still. This is the drive shaft of the motor that's driving that pulley, which is driving the left wheel, for the left reel for the rewind. This one is just freely spinning now. Fast forward, for that I need to take this button here back, and I need to put it in fast forward. See, that's also working well. The deck is only seeing 170 volts now because the 40 watt lamp is not enough to drive the motor at full speed, but it's working. Fast forward is working. What is not working is play, and that's play. That's not working because the flywheel for the capstan is not moving. And that's because this pulley is not engaging. This pulley should touch, on one side, should touch the drive shaft of the motor, and then it should also touch the flywheel. You can see that when we... That's the fast forward button that falls off. You can see that when we change speeds. See, you can see this pulley changing position because the drive shaft has 3 different diameters depending on the speed that you select. So the pulley then moves just up and down, or well, this idler wheel, that's what I had to use, and that's an idler wheel, not a pulley. This idler wheel just then moves down to select a different diameter on this shaft. So that's the highest speed. If we go to play, see, it's spinning, but it's still not touching the flywheel here. Also on the middle speed, same problem. There it's touching the shaft as well, correctly, but it's not, again, not touching the idler wheel, the flywheel. The reason for this is that this arm here that goes under, it might not be obvious at first why this is not working, but this idler wheel rests on an arm that you can see over here. And behind the idler wheel, that arm has a sort of an elbow joint, like this. And that is completely frozen. completely caked with old grease probably and is fully stuck. So normally I cannot even move it in the correct position with my finger. Normally it should go in between over here and then it should drive the flywheel. So, well, that's not working. For the rest, it seems that it's trying to do the correct things. Obviously there's something wrong with the on-off switch. See, now it's off, but it's slowly coming back. See? I think the switch is sticky, probably. And let me show you the machine on the back side. Now, I cannot lay it flat anymore because otherwise it rests on the fan of the motor. So I will have to work on this while it's standing up straight now. Here we have the back. And as you see, the fan is nice and dirty. So we will need to do a bit of cleaning here. Honestly, it's not too bad. Most important things to highlight here are these two capacitors. So that's one and that one. That's the main filter capacitor. That's an Elna 2200 microfarad at 50 volts. And it's clamped in place with this, see, with this clamp here. So I'm going to measure the diameter and I'm going to try to find a capacitor with the same diameter as this one. Then it's just plug and play. I don't have those in stock, so I will need to order one like this. This is the motor run, or well, the motor start capacitor, so depends on how you call it. Same thing, that's also mounted with a clamp, so I'm also going to measure the diameter and I'm going to order a replacement one. This one is really important that this is in good shape, because otherwise, yeah, your motor might not even start. So in this case, the motor is starting, but it's also required for the motor to have enough torque over time. So if you have a tape deck and you see that when you're using it a bit, your motor starts slowing down. It could be that this capacitor is bad. So this is something that I always recommend to always change on a deck. So that I need to order as well. So I think I have my work cut out for me. I need to check which parts I need to order. And I have a lot of cleaning and, well, cleaning up old grease. So then we have the amp. I don't know yet which board is which, but this is probably the main amplifier. So I'm gonna go through everything. What I want to do is change all the capacitors. And then there are quite a bit of transistors on here that are problematic and that are known to be bad. So we're gonna have to change all of those as well. Even though it looks like the DAC is working at first sight, there's still a lot of work to do. Especially here in this area, I think I'm gonna start with just getting everything nice and clean here, where the grease is getting sticky, removing those parts, cleaning everything up nicely, that everything mechanically is operating as it should. Now, before I go ahead with the actual cleaning here of everything, I just want to show you what is wrong here with this idler wheel. So if I put it in the highest position, and let's take off this protective cap, and then we're gonna take off this C-clip and trying not to have it ping across the room. Okay, that's coming off. Let's take the idler wheel off. See, that is the problem. So while this is off, I'm also going to clean this thoroughly inside, but the problem is this, see this joint here, or this elbow joint, I don't know how to call it, but it's completely stuck. There is no, see, oh there, I just managed to break it free, but it is extremely sticky. Let me take off this spring, if I can. Let it dangle over here for a minute. And yeah, we're gonna have to clean this part. I'm just gonna clean this up quickly, put the idler wheel back, and then we can see if it operates as expected. Just gonna take the worst. Oh man, it's super sticky. I'm not even able to rub it off like this. It's this grease has just become like a cake. I'm using some isopropyl alcohol. Try to get it free. See, that's loosening it. But we're just doing this to check if, so that we can test the tape deck and to see if there are nothing is nothing else wrong that needs attention. But I have a feeling that if this works, then the operation should be back. Well, the normal operation should be more or less back. Okay. See, that's completely different. I got my greasy fingers on the idler wheel. You also have to pay attention that you don't get grease on the idler wheels. Okay. I can already see that it's now rubbing here against the flywheel. So if we go to play, yeah, look at that. That's more like it. See, it's now, I think it's still slipping a bit, but at least it's now doing what it should. Okay, what happens if I power on the tape deck now? The deck is on, play. Aha. Okay, yeah, this switch here, that is, I don't know, is it just in shot? Yeah, just in shot. It's the end of tape switch, so you need to engage this switch, otherwise the motor stops. But see, now the capstan is moving on different speed. Nice. But this is still not... Wait. It works at all 3 speeds. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go with the highest speed. Yeah, of course this has a lot of momentum now, so... Nice. See, it was just that one pivot point which was completely stuck. Okay, so let's tempt fate a bit. I have the tape recorder hooked up to my workbench amplifier, and I just took a random tape here. It's probably garbage, this tape, so I have my switch here in the wrong way around. I don't know if this is gonna work. I actually don't know if I need the cover plate as a part of the tape guide, but let's just give this a go. Notice this is a nice empty Sony reel, so that'll definitely match the tape deck nicely when we're done. I don't know what is on this tape, it's probably crap, but let's just see if there is sound that comes out. How does this play? Yeah, we still need to clean the capstan and the pinch roller, definitely. But for now, let's see if there is some sound that comes out. I think I'm going to give it a second bulb, because before it was only running at 170 volts. Okay, it's running way too fast. Yeah, it's running at the highest speed. Oh, the brakes are not... Wait, what is the... I think I put the knob in incorrectly. This should be the middle speed. Yeah, that's the lowest. I think it's running at this speed. Let's see. Yep. Both channels are working. But yeah, there is absolutely no high end whatsoever. I think the high ends went on vacation. But at least we have audio. Now I have the amplifier here powered down. It's just simply the line out that I'm using. The high ends are really absolutely absent. So maybe the head, maybe the tape is not aligned for this deck, or the head is dirty or whatever, but at least it's playing. Didn't notice that this was not in shot, but it's these two switches here that I am operating. So now they are both the monitor switches on the input source. This is the tape, right channel, left channel. But this is really, it's a bad tape anyway. Yeah, see that again, if you look at the idler wheel here, see it takes a while before it hits the flywheel, so it's still not perfect. See, it's getting worse. And there it starts. So yeah, this needs a clean because that will just seize up again after a while. Let's rewind. Auto stop is working, obviously. Very nice. I mean, this is not a bad place to start a restoration, right? So this one is labeled non-stop music, 19 centimeters. So that's the fastest speed. I think that's like this. It has this, it's not a metal reel, it's a Philips plastic metal look. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely stereo, and it's much better than the previous tape, but there is still absolutely no treble. So I think maybe it's a matter of cleaning the tape head. VU meters are both working. Yeah, so that is really not a bad start for a restoration. So things are looking well. I know what to do. I'm gonna start cleaning things up here. Of course, I will film some part of it. I will not just cut to the next video and then say, okay, everything is fixed. I will film some highlights. I will not film everything. I will just in between do some shots of the things that are interesting. If there is something broken, obviously I will mention it on the video. So there has been a bit of progress and I hope you can notice it, but I think you will, because this area has been completely cleaned and disassembled and then re-lubricated. So yeah, I took the left spindle out and I took these two idler tires off and I cleaned the mechanisms of the idler tires and I put those in plastic baggies, and I will put them back later because it's quite convenient. Now I have better access to everything. So for example, this was this idler wheel with the elbow that we talked about earlier, and there was still indeed quite a lot of dirt here on the back side. Well, dirt, dried up grease on the back side. So I cleaned that up and I re-lubricated it, or I put some new grease there on this elbow joint. So this is now, in fact, we have here literal elbow grease. Okay. And well, now it's moving very freely. See, if I hold it like this, it just falls down. See, like that? So it is swinging around very freely. I also oiled here the shaft of the wheel itself. That is also spinning nicely now. So this is behaving perfectly as it should. And same for the other idler wheel. The other idler wheel is used to drive the... Why is my camera still constantly focusing? Just give me a... Okay, that should be better. So this is the other, it's not really an idler wheel, it was the pulley for the belt. And that is also in the back with all its components, also completely disassembled and re-lubricated. That's a tongue twister. And then this piece here, I also took that off. That is not that difficult to take off. If you take off the knob and you take off this small bracket, you can... If you put it in this position, you can access a set screw here from above, and then you can take this entire, well, mechanism off. So that was also cleaned and put some new grease on there. And now it's moving very lightly. Then what's next? Well, these are the brakes. The brakes I'm not gonna touch because these are still working perfectly fine and they are nice and snappy. See this one as well. And I think it's because they don't have any lubrication, they just operate dry, so that's why they are still fine. Now there is something funny here, and that is this thing. The original brake pad, rubber brake pad, had fallen off, and the previous owner fixed this with a piece of cable isolation or isolation from a power cable. That's funny. Now I found the original rubber brake pad. It was just sticking here somewhere in this old grease, so it had fallen off and it was sticking here. So I can glue that back. That should be fine. Now the trick is of course remembering what you did. So I took quite a bit of pictures every time before I took something off. Yeah, I thought initially I was gonna get away with just cleaning the things that were stuck, but I don't think I will get away with that. Let me show you this section. See, so this plate over here, that's in fact the fast forward switch. So if you push this back, that is activating the fast forward. But watch what happens when I let it go, and specifically watch this well, rod here, or this shaft, I don't know how to call it, this piece of metal. See, it takes a while before it pops back into position. And well, that connects to the entire mechanism over here and also to this idler wheel. See, I'm gonna do it again. I'll let it go. And it takes a while before it's still setting. Yeah, now it's set in its original position. So that means that all the grease that is here needs to be cleaned up. There is a spring here in the back that pushes this back forward, but it's not strong enough to overcome all the points of dried up grease. So everything here also has to come apart. So I think I'm now going to focus here on this area. I'm probably also going to take this spindle off that needs to be loosened from the back. And then I can start dismantling this mechanism. Now I would like to take off this entire, well, sliding piece here. So wait, where is the knob? If I put on the knob, see, and I put the recorder in play position, then you see that this entire mechanism slides to the left or to the right when I put it in rewind. So, and I would like to take this entire mechanism off, but I think therefore this part also needs to come off. So that's basically the end goal, is to take this entire mechanism out. And then we can start thinking about removing the head block assembly and getting access to the flywheel, but that's for later. Now I'm going to do this part. Well, the disassembly is moving ahead nicely, and every time you're doing something like this always feels more and more frightening the further you go tearing things down. I hope that I will be able to put everything back together again. So the thing is, so this is all now being disassembled here, but the main goal here was to get this sliding mechanism or this slider out. And the difficult part is this nut, because there is thread locker on that nut. And I'm afraid that it's really the only way to take it off. I mean, I can remove these two screws here, which I will have to remove, but that won't be enough to take the entire slider off. See, so they are also desperately in need of cleaning. This one will be this. Oh, make sure I don't strip that screw head. Okay. You have to be careful with these screws because some are extremely tight and they are not really standard Philips screws. I think they are a Japanese type of Philips-like screws, so all my screwdrivers don't fit perfectly, which is a bit annoying. Now this thing here, see, it lifts out. Okay, this spring is in the way, but that's not a big deal. The problem is over here. See, that we need to loosen that nut. I'm not sure if this will work because the tool I have here at the moment is for precision stuff like repairing mobile phones. I'm not sure if this can handle the force. No. So I'm just gonna take the bit and put it in a decent screwdriver. This should work if I don't break the head off of the bit. Yeah, okay. I think there is a screw in the back holding this in place as well, yeah. Oh, there is a washer as well. Just be careful that I don't lose this. Whoa, there was a plastic washer as well behind that nut. And there is another washer. And then there is the screw. Well, that's in rather tightly, so I'm gonna leave it. Don't tell me that wasn't needed. Oh, that wasn't, oh, was it? Yeah, it was needed, I believe. Now this moves forward and now I should be able to get this out. And yeah, I probably need to loosen this spring. Now these springs, the hooks of the springs, they are all folded over or folded closed so that they can't unhook accidentally, which is a nice touch. So now this one should be able to come out. Yeah, there we have it. Okay. And wow, there is a lot of oil. There is oil behind. Oh, it's very, very sticky. See, so I am going to obviously clean all this up. And then I think then I can put this back, and then when it's put back, I think the entire upper half is done and I can start reassembling everything in the top half, and then we can start working on the bottom half. Now in the bottom half, the main thing is here getting the head block off, but that'll be for later. Let's first clean this up and then we can continue. So I'm just applying some new grease here on the back side of this piece. A bit too much here and there. For everything on top and in the holes, we can also apply that afterwards. So the most important thing right now is the back side. So let's try to put this back. I'll probably just smear everything full of grease, which doesn't need to be. Oh, okay. That went in. Yeah, I think everything should be correctly in there. Let's put all the screws back, which I cleaned in the meantime. So yeah, that plastic washer that I mentioned, that wasn't there. That was just the remnants of the Loctite. Don't over tighten these, but still make sure that they are nice and snug, but don't exaggerate. Okay, I believe if my calculations are correct, this should work now. Yeah, it does. And I'm just gonna check here all the contact points and see if I have grease everywhere. But it feels, well, it feels okay. It did feel quite heavy before. It still does feel clunky. But the thing is, it was oiled before, which I find weird because sliding surfaces normally I would expect that they would be greased. So I expect that this has already maybe been taken apart at some point and somebody oiled it instead of greasing. I don't know, but I expected grease on sliding surfaces, so I put some new grease. But it definitely goes very smoothly now. So let me just put some extra grease. See, I forgot this contact point. There is also a contact point that I forgot. See where these small levers hit the sides of that shaft, of that piece of metal. So I can do that, and then I'm gonna continue reassembling everything. So everything is basically back together. So that means that the top half of the tape deck is fully done. Now I think everything is okay. I mean, I did manage to put everything back where it belonged, I hope. Now this is the part of a restoration that I like the most, when you have all the parts that you have cleaned and you put them back together just like a puzzle or like a Lego set. Really, I love that. So yeah, I really enjoyed putting everything back here. Now I hope I didn't make any mistakes. I'm not gonna turn on the record player or the tape deck just yet. because I want to clean all the, well, I want to make sure that all the rubbers, so all the idler wheels and the spindles and everything, that they are very clean before I power anything up. Otherwise, if there is some grease on one of those, it'll just spread over all the mechanism, over the belt and over the flywheel, and I really want to avoid that. So I'm not gonna power it up, but I think everything looks fine. See, this is the idler wheel that was stuck before, and see, now it's moving into position nicely, and it's even still spinning after it puts back in this, after it pops back into its resting spot. So yeah, also this moves very freely, and in all 3 speeds the idler wheel now easily goes into its original position. That's great. Rewind seems to be okay, and then the fast forward is also now very easy to activate, and yeah, I think we are good. Now the bottom half, it looks a bit simpler, but you'll never know. So what I want to do is take off this cover plate, well, the head block basically, and there are 4 screws, 1 on each corner here, but that one I cannot reach without taking off this bracket or this arm. And well, then that's a good opportunity to clean this mechanism as well. This is the pause mechanism. Yeah, I'll just take it apart as well. And I think first thing to do is loosen this nut. It's also, oh yeah, I wanted to say there is thread locker on there, but that thread locker didn't do much anymore. Let's take this bolt or whatever it is, or screw from the back side. Okay. See, and this is, well, spring-loaded. Now this thing, does it now move out of the way? Oh, only slightly. How did they put this in place? That's weird. It probably doesn't move out of the way because the tape counter is in the way, but I think I will be able to reach the screw behind. Yes, I can reach it. Yeah, that screw is coming off. Now, as I also explained earlier in my video when I was doing the cassette deck, be careful with magnetic screwdrivers on the head area. We're gonna have to demagnetize this later anyway, but if you can avoid getting very close to the heads, that's obviously better. And well, this tape deck is just so greasy. I mean, I've already got dirty fingers just from removing a couple of screws. There is grease and oil everywhere. I think this is the last one. Just gonna pop these in here that I don't lose them. Now let's see if this comes off. Okay, it comes out. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that is worth a clean. Jesus. Look at this on the back. I don't know if you can see it, but see all this grease here. Wow, I'm just going to, now I know what to do again. I'm not gonna video, man, look at this. I'm just gonna clean off everything here and here apply new grease on the flywheel and then put everything back. Damn, this is heavy. I'm just gonna take off the flywheel. I believe that's possible if you just unscrew this thumb screw here, because there is a lot of weight. Does that? No, that doesn't take off the flywheel. Oh yeah, it does. See, you have to... Oh, there is a bushing that dropped and a spring. Where is that bushing? There it is. So this was on top. That's nice, because this is a lot of weight. So otherwise this weight really pulls too much on these wires, and the wires are connected to the head, and I don't want to get them torn off or get the heads misaligned. Okay, that's much better. Now, this is a nice opportunity to show here the way that this pressure roller is working. This is the normal position. Now if you can see this, and if you press play, see the pressure roller moves up and against the tape. So it doesn't only go up and down against the tape, it also moves back when the deck is not in play position. And that is to allow you to more easily thread the tape. See, like this you can see it very well. And Sony called this the retract-o-matic. Yeah, this is like, today we call everything smart, like smartphones and smart devices and whatever. In the 50s and the 60s, everything was something o-matic. So the retract-o-matic. Well, we are a couple of evenings later and I think I'm done with the mechanical part. So I finished this entire assembly which is behind the head block, and I cleaned everything thoroughly, and I put some new lubrication where needed, some grease or oil, depending on which thing I needed to lubricate, and then put everything back together. And then I also cleaned the entire tape pot, so the 3 heads and the capstan, of course, and the pinch roller. Now the pinch roller was extremely dirty, and I used some dishwasher soap that I made to clean this thing. Or well, I made a bit of soap with some dishwashing liquid, and I used that to clean the pinch roller, because I don't want to use isopropyl alcohol on these things. And I think it's still okay. It might still need a bit more cleaning, but it was extremely dirty and it takes a bit of work to get it clean. I think that is about it. I also cleaned the inside of the shaft where the capstan sticks through. Now, if you think, wow, what could get in there? These are the Q-tips, or the cotton buds, however you want to call them, that I used to clean the capstan shaft, and it was incredible how much dirt came out. So yeah, that really needed it clean. And then I put some new oil to oil the capstan, and everything is running very smoothly now. And I already tested the mechanism. You see the deck is powered on. See, so yeah, obviously I need to activate the end of tape switch, and if I put the record player in play, see, it's running perfectly now. It's also running very silently, and it's very smooth. Other speeds, so this is the 9.5 centimeter speed, also running perfectly, and this is the 4.75, also running perfectly and smooth. Then the rewind, also working well. You see the counter belt is still wobbly because it's still the original belt, but it works. So yeah, I think the main drive belt, you see it's slightly wobbly, but not very much. It only has a very small deformation, I think, where it had been sitting here on this side for a long time. But really, it's very minor, and the belt is still very good. Then the fast forward is a bit more complicated to activate this with one hand, because you need to push this in and then put it in play. And you see, fast forward working perfectly. But this DAG is now, I think, mechanically working perfectly fine. And I will come a bit closer with my microphone. I don't know if you can hear this on video, but it's very smooth. So I have the deck again plugged into my amplifier, my bench amplifier, and let's put that tape back on there that we used earlier to test. I already tested this, and yeah, there is really a big difference. Now I cannot play this for obvious reasons, but And I also don't know how this comes across via this tiny microphone, but there is a huge difference. All the treble is back. So yeah, obviously I cannot play this, but there is a big difference in sound quality. And in stability and of the speed, it's also perfectly fine. So let's fast forward a bit. Yeah, the brakes, I think the right brake could be a bit better. Now, this brings a dilemma, because I said early in the video that I wanted to do a full restoration and a full Monty on this one, so I wanted to change all the capacitors and swap out any well, transistors which could be problematic. But it's working nicely, so now I don't know what to do. Well, the power switch, we know there was something wrong with that, so that I need to fix. There are some switches that need to be cleaned, and but I still need to test the entire amplifier. And I think it could really also benefit from a new motor capacitor, because when this right wheel is quite full and then you do a fast forward, then it takes a while before it gets going, which might be normal, but I think the motor could use a bit more oomph. So that I might still do, but for the rest, for the electronics, you tell me, what do you think? I don't know. I'm really hesitating now, because it's working so well. Now, if you don't know this music, it's quite possible that you've never heard this music before, but this is André Brasseur, which is a quite legendary Belgian composer of organ music, like Hammond organ dance music, and really nice. If you're into this kind of thing, look him up. He has a fantastic oeuvre of this genre, basically. So I think that's it for this video. Video is more than long enough. In any case, in the next video we will have a look at the amplifier. So there will be a follow-up in any case. So then, maybe that's a good idea. We'll start by looking at the amp, seeing if there is some work that needs to be done. Probably the controls need to be cleaned. We need to check the capacitors. And if I find some bad caps in here and maybe some bad transistors, then I will swap all of them out also in the rest of the tape deck. The problem is there are, I think, more than 50 capacitors in this thing, so it's a hell of a lot of work to do everything. I would have never have expected that it would work this well just after a mechanical clean, and that shows you really how incredibly reliable these things are. If you can get a hold of a cheap Sony from the early 70s, whether it be this one or just a standalone deck, don't hesitate. I mean, it's just a bit of cleaning that you need to do, and you're good to go, basically. Now, I did have a lot of work. I think this took me 5 to 6 hours in total to get everything restored here, basically in original condition. But if I had to do it again, then obviously it would be a lot faster, because then you know which things you need to take off first and how everything fits together. I hope you enjoyed this video. I actually enjoyed working on this thing, and I hope you'll follow along, and then I'll see you in the next one where we'll do the amplifier. So thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.
Take it down to